Donna, you're live.
Live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to It's Just
Oh,
Bodybuilding.
oh, your mic
Oh,
went, Ron, when you
oh,
moved stuff.
oh.
We're
Fuck
not,
my
but
life.
we're live, but we haven't started the show. Ron's got to hang up and call us back. Ron's got to shorten his mic. What's up, guys? We're about to get stuff started here. Donna,
Donna's making an appearance.
amazing.
You
How's
know,
she
she
doing?
she got a fresh bow put in. She got a bath last night.
Did she
So,
miss you
you
when
know,
you were gone?
terribly. She missed me because I give all the best treats.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, girl. Go get your bone.
All right.
Okay. Boom. I gotta open this
Okay,
part
everybody.
up.
18 people. Oh, no, that more. There we go. Okay, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. Big Ron Partlow here. Dusty Hanshaw, Scott McNally, back from the Arnolds. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
Ring the bell.
there you go. And thanks to everybody who signed up to the Patreon and all of your
Yes.
involvement there. We really appreciate that. That helps Scott out a lot. And obviously, we want to send a big thanks out to Mutant. You know how it goes with Mutant. Dusty and I just got back from the Arnold, and they brought Scott out too
It was
to
so cool.
experiment with a podcast and meet some people. And they thought it'd be fun to have him at the booth. So it was a fantastic trip. Remember, IamMutant.com. Go on there for your ISO Surge, your All In, your gear. The EAAs are amazing. If you're not drinking the gear, I don't know. I'm always on the
I
gear.
take lots of gear. I've been on gear.
Always
for
on the
years.
gear. I take way more gear now than I ever used to, actually. No. Back in the day, I just used to take juice, but now I take a lot more gear. And so yeah, and use our codes Dusty20 or Big Ron20, either or. You can take turns on us. We don't care.
That's true. We
Okay.
could be Eskimo brothers. It's fine.
We know a lot of the same people. Okay. How's it going, guys? So the Arnold, I guess obviously we're going to start with that. We're not opening with how Chris Rock's new special is. We're going to
Which
start
was
with,
great.
I haven't seen it yet, but we'll talk about that at some point. Scott, how was the Arnold for you?
It was an absolute blast. First of all, hanging out with you guys the whole time, hanging out with everybody from Mutant, getting to meet so many of our listeners, getting to meet, I not only got to meet our listeners, I also got to talk to just a bunch of people that didn't know who I was, but came up to the Mutant booth and they were asking me questions. Obviously, I was wearing a Mutant hat and I was wearing a Mutant shirt at times, right? And so they were like, hey, can you tell me about this product? And I'm looking at them like,
Right,
thinking
yeah,
you're asking the wrong guy, but I told them my limited experience with the stuff I've used, and then I tried to tell him hey, go talk to George over there. He would know more than me, But it was cool. Plus the contest was really awesome. It wasn't just, even after prejudging, we didn't know what was going to happen for sure. So that was a great show. I don't care who you were rooting for. It was an awesome contest, and it was cool to see just how packed it was because, kind of the whole expo thing, the whole people gathering together thing, it kind of died for a couple of years there. And so it was nice to see just how busy it was. And, talking to George, he was saying people are getting used to going back out and doing things again, and it's only going to grow from here. So I had a freaking blast. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. Dusty?
Yeah, same. I think the most exciting part to me as far as meeting the fans is I love when people would come up. I had multiple people come up with over-unders and suggestions for the shows. I was brought multiple cigars
Nice.
by fans, which was phenomenal. Yeah, everything about it was awesome. And like you said, I think that it's good to see. So there was a stage there during my bodybuilding time where I didn't see anyone really stepping up from the new era of bodybuilding that could compete with the old era. So I'm watching the transition take place. Guys who were phenomenal, aren't making that top 6 anymore, and the new guys are winning. So it's a lot of fun. And the top 3 at this year's show are all going to be here for quite some time. And I think, Andrew jacked, and of course, some little guy named Samson are proving that their trajectory is pretty drastic. So I'm excited to see what those two bring for the Olympia.
Yeah, I had a great weekend. My favorite part was just talking to everybody that watches the show. That's always fun. I like it when they come up with over-unders or just like a reference, like, hey, when you guys had Jay on, like some people had some really, really cool stuff. Like one guy came up, he's like, hey, like last year you guys did an episode where, something came up about addiction, and then Scott said something, and then you guys talked about something, and then I wound up like getting my shit together a little more.
Yeah.
And, it was just like, really crazy because, we're just like having a conversation, so it's interesting to see what, the ripple effects of that are. So that's always kind of fascinating for me because like that's the stuff that you're like, like no one ever tells you about that stuff like ahead of time, you're just doing your thing.
Yeah, you don't see it from our end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, that's really cool. And then the show, like the Olympia man. Sorry, I got something in my throat. The Olympia man really wore me out.
Yeah,
I went to the entire prejudging, and I went to the entire finals. So
it was 17 hours that you're at a show.
It was just so much. So this year I was like, you know what? I'm only going to go to the finals, and I'm going to go at like 8:30, and I'm just going to catch the top 10.
Yeah.
Like the last round of call outs and the fucking awards.
Yeah. Watch,
careful,
careful, because we can't edit this one.
Yeah. Did I mumble? I didn't. That was accidental. I didn't say anything.
You were passionate again. Don't be passionate.
Passionate. I had a few people tell me, they're like, oh, you just can't quite do it, can you? You're like right there. You just fail it every time.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I had a few people. One guy comes up, he's like, this is how he walks up to me. He's like, you're like, you just can't help. You're so close to not F-bombing. And I just started laughing. Yeah.
That's funny, man.
Anyways, what was I talking about? I forget.
You were effing talking about something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're talking about the show.
Anyway.
You're talking about showing up.
No, but how long it was.
Oh, yeah.
Showing up in. So
my goal. So, we went out that night for teriyaki, and then we went to the show late.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been more perfect. We walked in. They did the Cedric McMillan Award.
Yeah.
And then they brought out the top 6.
Yeah.
No, we also got this. We saw all the past winners.
Oh, yeah, we saw the top,
which was cool.
Winners.
Which was cool. That was cool to see, to think that was, they lined up everybody who had won the Arnold Classic from 89 on. And they did that thing for Cedric, memorial for Cedric, which was a really touching thing. That was a really well put together video. And then I didn't realize
they did another round of poses.
Yeah.
They did another full round of comparisons.
And I was going to say, with that group, they brought out Kai. But of course, Kai, with the, they brought out all the past winners, and they're like, and the next guy will be coming out shortly. But after him, and they're like, then finally, Kai Green. Kai was, what was he wearing? It was like a man purse. And he
looked like a suitcase, but he was wearing a suitcase as a man purse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next to next to a normal man, it would have actually, it couldn't be carry on. But next to him, it looked like a small man.
Yes. But we got to see Kai on stage.
I did laugh at the same thing, Scott. You know what my favorite part of that was, though?
What's that?
Was when Dexter walked out on stage. It was just like he walked out when he came to win. He just like slowly sauntered out.
Yeah.
Dexter has more swag in his pinky than I've had in my entire life. I'm like,
yeah,
I hate you for being awesome.
And then I loved how they were kind of all in suits, and then Jay came out dressed like fashion, like
he had like the leather jacket on and
leather jacket and white sneakers.
He's got the hair,
the hair. Yeah, it was good. He was like shows up looking like new age jacked Fonzie.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was good because like Ronnie comes out in a suit, everyone comes out in a suit,
Yeah.
He comes out just like looks like he's going to a photo shoot, in like a trendy part of downtown. It's funny.
Wait, before you finish while you're telling this, Ron, you did get an important question.
I saw that.
How were the bathrooms?
Well, Expo bathrooms are always disgusting.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
they were way better this year.
They really were.
And I don't know. There's three possibilities. Either
They watch the show.
either they watch the show. Someone in the chain of command watches our show, and they reported last week that we better double check the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Or they already recognized there was a problem, which is possible, but I think they
Probably not.
probably heard from us. Or there was just a lot better behaved people, or a lot everyone was a little more careful. I don't know. I doubt that that's a thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there you go. Oh, that was cool. I saw
Yes.
the comment you put up from Tara. Yeah.
I'm just I'll run any random comments that we don't need to,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll just run those along the bottom as we're going, as I can. So
Shout
yeah,
out to shout out to my Alberta people. How's that? That one
Yes.
goes out to you,
Love it.
Tara. So
Yes.
shout out to all the Alberta bodybuilding crew that, I haven't seen for years. I did go back for a show last year, but I didn't get to see everybody. You just run into so many of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome.
So we as you were saying though, so we got to see that, then we got to see the actual
Kind of
they did some more
last
posing.
round of comparisons.
Yeah.
And then they gave away. We saw the bikini awards and the men's physique awards, which was actually very quick. And
Yep.
I didn't mind seeing it.
Yeah.
And then it was pose down. So it was awesome because I was just so tired. I just couldn't sit through a 4-hour show this past weekend. This wasn't the weekend for me to do that. So yeah, great time. I thought the show was awesome. Andrew Jacked had he had such an amazing look generally, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
especially the quads from the front, like when he's doing his front double bicep and his front lat spread, he's really got those quads just deep separated and hard as nails, and they're just humongous in person. But I felt like, I had a few people that were like, I didn't have Samson first, but I'm like, well, the judges all did. The judges all had him first, straight.
Did they?
First.
It was unanimous, huh?
Yeah. It was all ones, both rounds. And I think that it just comes down to total package. Like, Samson wasn't the hardest guy. He wasn't the hardest, crispest guy, but he was in great condition.
Yeah, he really
was. He wasn't the biggest guy, but he was almost the biggest guy. And he, you know what I mean? And then he kind of had the best shape from the front. Like in the front relaxed, I think his front relaxed is the best one. It's the most classic, bodybuilder front relaxed. Nick's is a little structurally not as advantageous. And then Andrew's, how Andrew doesn't have the craziest lat width yet from the front? I don't know. It's weird. Like his shoulders are super wide, but
yeah.
There's something from the front that I think Samson has over Andrew Jacked at this moment. Samson's front relaxed was, to me, I liked it better. It was more I guess it was more Dorian. Like if you think of how Dorian looked in his front relaxed, I thought Samson was a little bit more that type of look.
I feel like Andrew's on his way to that. He doesn't quite have it yet, and my main concern with him was some of his posing. We were talking about it when we went out to eat. Like when he hits that front double, he tries to do that offset pretty thing, and when he does that twist, his chest all concaves. Everything up top looks smaller, but it's not small because then when he goes into that lat spread, everything's huge up top. And I don't think he needs to do that. If he just hit it straight on and he inflated everything, I think that he would look a lot thicker and a lot bigger up top than what he's actually presenting,
Yeah, like a
I
Dennis
noticed
Wolf
that in the
style
lat
front
spread
double.
too.
Yes,
though. The
yes.
front lat spread. You remember that picture I showed you from Aceto? His lats are bigger than he shows on a front lat spread. Like he's doing something to contract them.
He's flexing them really hard.
Yes, and
That's what I think he's doing.
I think people forget when you flex, you contract. That's the reverse of what you want when you're posing. Like you're not contracting, you're opening.
Yeah.
So I did a little research in the way that I do research, which is a direct text to someone.
Okay.
And I said to
Love
Aceto, does Andrew have what it takes to win an Olympia? His answer was in spades, easy.
There you go.
This year equals win.
Aceto
So-
saying this year
Yeah.
he's going to win the Olympia.
Yeah, I think that it's a, you know, it's
Damn.
funny because
It's hard to argue with Chris.
the reason that I jam it is because Chris is like me. It's the brain that he worries about,
Huh.
right? So it's like, does he have it? I asked him, I actually said, does he have it mentally? And he said, absolutely. So that is the magic, you know. I'm excited to see that because I think so too. And I think that, in my opinion, when I looked at this show, Andrew and Samson are going to be frightening by November, like as if they're not already phenomenal. But their trajectory is so drastic. I don't know. It's going to be nuts.
I was I saw those guys, like the top three together. I was surprised Nick was second. I thought Nick was either going to be first or third because I
Right.
saw Samson and Andrew as like the two tall guys that were more similar, and then Nick as like the odd guy out. So I thought if they go, like, I sort of thought that the other two were going to kind of go together. You know what I mean? Like Nick,
I could
Nick
see
would
how they
either be
could do
third.
that. I just thought
Yeah,
Nick had
or he was
too
gonna be
much.
first.
I just felt like he had too much to be behind, Andrew Jacked.
Yeah. I think the thing with Andrew is he beats Andrew from the back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, he beats Andrew from the back in both shots, very clearly, and like Nick Walker is just like, he's such a freak, man.
He is.
And I know, like, Samson won the show and everything, but like just watching Nick up there with, like, when they call front double bicep,
Yeah.
does anyone just sort of stop and look at how big his Sorry about the F-bombs.
You did it.
Big
You didn't say it. You
arms
stopped.
are.
You stopped. You caught it.
Yeah, there you go. Anyone like stop to think about how big his arms are? Like his arms are like, illusion wise, they look like some of the biggest I've ever seen on a pro stage. I don't know how big they actually measure, but as far as looking big,
Yeah.
Nick Walker's arms just look mind-boggling to me.
What I thought was interesting,
and the side chest.
though, with all the size he has and all those things, like, we just go back a couple months, right, to the Olympia, and I think about how powerful he looked there. Standing, and it goes to show like how different lineups make you look different, because standing between AJ and Samson, it really did expose him for not having like the prettiest structure, which he's not a guy who has, he's not like Nick Walker, has like that classic beautiful structure. No, he's a freaking monster. But to me, it's like, it's hard to expose a guy like Nick. But in my mind, when I saw two guys that are tall with long limbs, narrow waists, then you see Nick Walker in between them, it made him look short and wider waisted than the way I've seen him in other shows. So all of a sudden, this bell went off in my head. Oh, this exposes Nick, which isn't easy to do. You know what I'm saying? And it's in that lineup. But then I asked myself this too. So we go back, like we were talking about Cedric earlier. He was a great Arnold champion, but then you take Cedric and put him in the Olympia lineup, and I almost feel like that's a different game. And he doesn't have like the sheer, like, nasty mass that the Olympia tends to go for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is all about who you're standing with and what, you know what I mean? Who you get put between. It really influences how they see you in a lot of ways, But it was great top three, man. And
I feel like the thing with Nick that's a little bit tricky is he. I agree with what you're saying, Scott, for sure.
Okay.
But I actually I'm somebody who, I don't look at Nick and say it's not a pretty physique. Like, it's not like an ugly physique. You know what I mean? Those two are like sculptures.
Right.
So, I think what Nick will do is take and really cash in on what he has.
I hope he does,
And be even freakier, because I think if Nick comes in, and he's always peeled, so we don't have to bring that up.
Right.
But if he comes in as freaky as possible, and I mean big,
Yeah.
then I think all of a sudden that exposing can go in the other direction, where you put him between those two and you go,
I can see
they
that.
look small.
Yeah,
You
I
see what I'm
could see
saying?
that
So
because
it's like
if he tried to play
you gotta
their
go in
game,
with your strengths.
yeah,
Don't
if he
play
tried to
their
play
game,
their
you'll be
game and
screwed.
he's like, I'm going to try to bring my waist in, it's like then you're not going to get the best Nick anymore. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I think. I think if he comes in blown out, I mean, he'll always be sliced, but he comes out blown out full,
Yeah,
then it becomes, well, what do you like more?
yeah,
Because he is way freakier than both of them. And I said this even in finals. I mean, I told Ron, I had Nick winning just because to me that's the end result that I like. Like
yeah,
when he turns around and hits these shots, like I don't feel like it was close from the back at all. Like I think he annihilated him. I think you go to the side shots and it's I mean only Ramy has the side like Nick to me. So then from the
Oh,
front it becomes coin flips.
yeah,
So it's like, I still had him, but I think if they say screw it, the common argument is you don't need more size. You already have so much muscle. Well, I'm not saying like chase size, but 5 pounds on Nick would be frightening.
hmm.
You know what I
right,
mean? Because it
right.
is so
Yeah, yeah,
compact
yeah.
and he's so big everywhere that it's like it really doesn't matter where it falls because
Yeah,
it's all great. So I hope he comes in just so big that it at least makes people say, well, which one do you like?
yeah.
Do you like pretty or do you like freaky?
Well, I think that's how
Because
he beat Andrew
he can
Jack.
accomplish,
Great.
I think that's how he
for
beat
sure.
Andrew Jack. You know, it was just too much for Andrew to
Yeah,
take, you know?
yeah.
Mhm.
Nick's gonna be too much from the back for, like, I don't know. He's gonna be too
Everyone.
much for everyone for a while. Like,
Yeah.
those back shots, man, they're nasty. But Ramy, I got to give Ramy props. He was really improved over the Olympia,
He came
and
in way better than I expected.
I don't know what the hell to think because, man, I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot of shit, but whatever was happening with both of his lats at the Olympia might have just been, remember how I said it looked like he had a nerve that was getting worse? You know what I mean? I remember I said his lats looked like they were coming up under his shoulder blades, but maybe that was just like a posing error or some weird thing he was doing with his back. Cause I thought he was posing his back really messed up at the Olympia. I thought it just
Mhm.
looked messed up and I don't know what he was doing. And then he came out here and when they hit back double, like, okay, the top three were the top three, but let's talk about Ramy's back double for a second. It was way, way crazier than the Olympia. It was
Mhm.
nuts. And the side leg, like, what was that?
Oh, I've never seen anything like his side leg.
Like it
Ron and
was, it
I
was like,
looked at Ron when he turned to the side. I was like,
like Ramy looked absolutely nuts to me. I just saw it. It was crazy, but look at that lineup. He's not pretty in that lineup, you know. Scott's
Yeah.
very
well,
quiet.
we didn't go to prejudging either. So that's the part where I'm like, okay, I don't really know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
went.
We usually go to pre, so I don't know. Did he make a drastic improvement from pre to finals or what?
My issue was I was sitting so far. So I've been able to get media passes at the Arnold every year. And this year with the new management, I didn't get media passes. So I was like, I still want to go. So I bought tickets to prejudging and finals. But I was sitting so far back. I just like had to just watch and enjoy. Because honestly, I couldn't see conditioning from where I sat. And the monitors weren't that good. But from what I saw, Ramy coming out, my instant thought was like, is it just me or am I surprised by this? He just looked tighter and rounder than I expected him to. Like he looked fresher. And I don't know how you do that when you just dieted for the Olympia and weren't your best. You know what I mean? And he came back much improved. So I don't know. That'd be my take on him. The only thing I'd say is I'm happy that Sean Clarita got into fifth, but I honestly could have seen him flipped with Ramy. I could have seen him a place up. And in fact, even like one of the first poses I saw on stage, just when they were first bringing the competitors out, the first group, the second group kind of thing, that Sean was next to Nick Walker. And although Nick is so much bigger, Sean had such like a 3D look in his rear double bicep that to me, I was like, man, that competes. It's just the scale factor that really is off, and I don't know if, I mean, Sean said we all had a chance to talk to him too. He said he was thrilled with the package he brought. He said he thought it was at least as good as the Olympia. I wouldn't argue that at all, man. I thought that was one of his best looks ever, personally.
I thought it was the best he's ever been. I don't know, but you got to remember too, like you only look as good as the lineup you're in.
Yeah.
So he's in this lineup and still looks like he might be the best he's ever been.
Yeah, so that's a good point.
You're right. You know what I mean? Like we're used to seeing him next to other 212 guys for the most part, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, Clarita deserves a lot of respect for what he's done. It's nuts. And I want to just make sure we don't skim too quickly before we move on. But Samson is, I talked to him on the weekend. I ran into him a couple times, and what a great guy and what a great story. And the best video of the weekend is him and Fuad dancing on stage, jumping up and down, play the celebration music, hugging, and all the comments like, "Does Pro-10 come out of a suit?" You know, like all the comments. That was to me the highlight of the weekend. It was great to see. You know, he seems like such a great guy. So you know, congrats to Samson, and what his potential is just, you know, with Andrew Jack going like this and Samson going like this, it's going to be pretty crazy to see what either one of those guys brings, you know, next show.
Absolutely.
Yep. Samson was 297. Well, like the day before.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. And he only has room to improve at this point. Like he is still on his way up. I don't think that this is anywhere near what his best could be, you know? Like I feel like he still has a lot of room to continue moving in an upward direction. So it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people are getting really excited about Samson now. Like they were before, but with this, like, is he the new Nick Walker? You know, like everybody has been loving Nick, and I almost sense this shift now to like, now is Samson the new hot thing?
Well, this will be.
Well, I think they're excited for a competition, right?
Yeah.
They want to see some greatness at the top because, you know, what I like that's happening now is the people who appreciate Nick can also appreciate Samson. At the end of the day, as longer time bodybuilder fans, we're just excited to see a show where you go to the Olympia and you're like, who's going to win? Because I'll be honest, it got boring for a while. Like everybody knew Ronnie was winning. Like the other competitors knew Ronnie was winning. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and as much as it's like, well, who's getting second? Well, it was Jay. Like there was literally a time period where first and second were taken and who cares about third? You know what I mean? Now it's like, I mean, for three of us who've been at it for as long as we have to not know who's winning. Yeah. You know, you have your opinion, but usually you're like, oh, Dorian's winning. Yeah. Easily. It's over. Or Phil. You know, so I think that's what people are excited about, you know. And like you said, seeing trajectory. The jump he made from last year's Arnold to the Olympia was drastic, and then to do it again in 3 months. Right. How? Yeah, that says a lot. And then Andrew Jack as well. You know, same thing with him. It's like, what's he going to do next? So I'll be really excited to see him. And if Chris says that he could win the Olympia, I mean, it's hard to argue with Chris. That's all I know. He said crazy things like that. He said exactly that stuff before and been right. Yeah, so, exactly. You know. Okay. So Arnold was awesome. We had a couple more going on. We had a couple more questions about the Arnold, actually. Did Mutant take you guys to Boca de Papa? And did you guys pick up? Yes, of course we went. And I brought home a bunch of chicken parmesan and meatballs for my lunch at the booth the next day. It was delicious. It was delicioso. What did you eat, Dusty? There you go. Well, so it's like family style. So they literally ordered, I mean, we had like 6 dishes for every 4 people. Nice. So like Mutant doesn't they don't like toy around when they order food. Like literally, like the meatballs at the table, and I was like, oh, here, pass me those. And before they could pass them over, they brought the same thing to the 4 of us that were there. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. for a table like that, for pretty much everyone to leave with an entire full thing of leftovers tells you how much food was there.
That's cool. I didn't realize,
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was happening. So I had already gotten tickets for the prejudging. So I was unable to go.
I knew you were going to the show. I just figured you were not missing the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because some people don't come to the dinner, right? Like they want to go do something. Like maybe it's their only night that they have free with their wife or something. So they don't like. Not everyone comes to the dinner, right? So some people want to go to the prejudging real bad, or some people are watching it on their phones. We used to do that too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we ate a bunch of food out. Those tacos. I got this. What was that taco place we went to? What was that called?
I don't even know what it was called, but it was right across the street from the
It was
hotel.
called right across the street. Yeah.
Yeah. I got their
It was called
their-
the taco place. We're going for tacos.
Yeah. I get their fish taco with like a fried mahi and French fries and guac and all this stuff just stuffed right into the taco. We got burgers. We ate with Jake. We had breakfast with Jake Cutler. There was that.
Yeah.
Little detail we forgot to mention. Scott's probably never done before.
Yeah, never had breakfast with Jay before. I mean, he didn't really have a choice in the matter. He was sat down and we were sat down. So for anybody
Well, we
at
got
home,
seated.
yeah,
We were on the same bench. We were
Yeah.
using the same bench.
exactly. And we were sitting right next to Jay. So that was
Well, in
fun.
fairness, he
I
did
think-
need your salt and pepper.
Yeah.
So
Yes, that was the key. He said, "Hey, pass me your salt and pepper."
Yeah.
And once you pass your salt and pepper to another table, you're now all eating breakfast together.
Yeah.
Because you're sharing salt.
look at
and
Scott.
pepper.
Scott got it. Agave and rye. That was the name of
There you
the
go.
taco plate.
Is that what it was?
Scott
Yeah.
Whiston.
So Scott referred to the hotel as an apartment. He's like, I'm back at the apartments. I'm like, where the fuck you go? Yeah, those aren't apartments. I don't know.
Is that
he probably
a-
said it with a weird accent too.
Yeah. So he's Scottish, huh?
Very.
Well, it's because they
Very.
all just.
We've
live
been
in
trying to get
hotels.
rid of him for years, but he just keeps coming back. He's like herpes. It's so weird.
He was cool to hang out with, and so was
Oh,
Rob.
you're being nice.
So was Rob. I wanted to give a shout out to Rob actually because he helped me a ton. All that equipment. So Scott helped me go collect the equipment and bring it over to the expo, and then Rob helped me take it back in the rain. So shout out to both of those guys for the podcast.
Oh wow. Okay. See, I didn't even know about this stuff. I didn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
know that sort of. See, look at the labor Scott does behind the scenes.
Oh man,
I was actually right in front of the scenes. He was sweating profusely, and I was sitting on 4 chairs at the same time because they were stacked up.
Yeah.
Watching him and drinking a Diet Dr. Pepper.
You were.
And he
dude.
was like,
It was
can
good.
you sit on that chair? So I was like, look at me helping, sitting on the chairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Scott
it was cool.
Scott just unfollowed me on Instagram just now. He's done
Both
with it.
Scots, actually.
I put up a really great story about Scott Weston.
Oh yeah, what'd you say?
Yeah. Did you see it, Dusty?
Yeah.
I just said, well, he put a picture of us up on his story, so I reposted it and I put my favorite piece of shit human. That was so enjoyable. That was like the most enjoyable story I posted that day. You know, some stories you send them out with like a bit of pride.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
you're like, here you go, world. And you hit the button.
Yeah. That's how I felt about your face when I threw my leg up on Scott during that picture we took.
Oh my God. So it's on the
You
cover.
looked so
of this.
disgusted. You looked so disgusted. I was like, this is perfect.
You guys have to know what that was. It's the cover, the thumbnail for this video. So when Dusty throws his leg up, understand that's like a side of beef, right? So I'm standing there, I'm not ready for this, and I go to grab his leg, and I literally like had to brace myself and use my other hand. I nearly threw my back out just trying to, hold his leg up there.
I just committed because Scott said, do something we haven't done before for a picture. I was like, well, we haven't done this.
I just trying to get a picture. I was so annoyed, you two clowns.
I get great. So I did that to Ron once before when we were shooting for Mutant.
Yeah.
It was for you. And so we're sitting on the dumbbells at West Coast Iron. And right before the picture was taken, I threw my hand on Ron's upper thigh. and the reaction was caught on camera.
Oh, yeah.
What the
I
Like
remember
the
hearing
most
about that once.
uncomfortable photo of me ever. I'm like,
It's classic.
It was so perfect.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Should we tell
Yes.
people, like, if you guys want to ask questions in the stream here,
Yes.
throw some questions up because we can tackle them, or we can just talk about the Arnold for the next half hour too, because that was a blast.
well, I do want to mention, just because it was my highlight,
yeah.
I went to a meet, like a cocktail hour with
Oh
Arnold.
yeah. Oh yeah. You sure did.
Remember?
Yeah.
So
I don't
Jim-
remember,
Jim-
but you do.
Yeah. So Jim comes up to me at the booth and he goes, "Hey, I think we're going to meet Arnold. They just contacted me and they said, you and one other person, can you please meet us in the lobby at the Hilton
Yeah.
at 5:30? So meet me there, 5:15. So I meet Jim. Two guys from Muscle Tech show up. Two guys from C4 show up. And we're like, oh, it's all the main sponsors. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and there's like 10 of us. They take us up the elevator to this like little, banquet room on whatever, 5th floor or whatever,
Yeah.
where all the conference rooms are. And they got a bartender in there and they got some hors d'oeuvres out and some like crackers and stuff. And there's only 10 of us in the room, and then Arnold comes in with a security detail and Ralph Moeller and his buddy Dieter, who was kind of filming, and his son Patrick, who's an actor. And they just rolled in and Brian Powers came in, right? The organizers of the Arnolds were there, a couple of them. But really, there was only like, I don't know, I'd say like with security detail, whether I think we were 5 guys, there was only like 20 people in the room.
Yeah.
And we were in there for over an hour, like an hour and 15 minutes we were in there.
No kidding.
And Arnold talked to each one of us. And a lot of people, when they talk to Arnold, they're just like, oh, thank you, Arnold. It's so great to be here. I'm so happy to meet you. Like, that's just what most people do. But
Jim said you killed it. Yeah, you killed it.
Did he say I killed it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, I got to ask him a question. So when he came over to me, I said, I just watched Staircase on HBO. Your son did a great job. And he goes, oh, yes. With the acting, he's doing good, And then I said, hey, did his agent tell him to change his last name? And Arnold laughed. He goes, oh, no, they learned the first time. It was pretty good.
That was quick, man.
That's the inside joke, is that they told him to do that, right? And even on the first movie, Hercules Goes Bananas, his name is Arnold Strong.
Yeah.
So like they tried to get him to do it, right?
Yeah.
So he got the joke, and I was like really happy that I was like, oh yeah, okay, he got the joke.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, what if he didn't get it? What if
then,
he just looked at you and he's like, why would he change his last name?
Why
It's
did he change his last
stupid.
name?
That's
Yeah.
dumb.
Stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
It's dumb. Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
What if that
would've been
happened,
the
man?
worst. It would have been the worst.
Security, get this guy out of here.
Yeah, some crazy guy doesn't like my son's last name.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want that to happen. So I took a little risk there.
Yeah,
He was cool. And then I said, hey, my favorite part of your book was when you talked about the late 70s, and you mentioned that you were like hanging around the cast of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And I said, like, how did you wind up hanging around with them and stuff? And he goes, oh, I was taking improv classes and all the theater people in New York and all the acting, and I always loved the comedy, and I would go and watch them rehearse and try to learn, because they were kind of improving as they wrote the skits throughout the week, like they're working hard during the week, right?
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh, and he's like, so he was kind of hanging around, just watching them, trying to learn from them. They would let certain people in to just like be around them, and Arnold got in there. So, and then he said, I said, oh, you must have been to some crazy parties in New York in the late 70s. And he goes, oh, this was the best part. He goes, I come from California with the bodybuilders, and we have the parties with the drinking and some marijuana and so on, and the girls. He goes, I've been to parties, but then I went to a party with John Belushi. And he goes, nah, it was a party. He goes, all the things you think were there were there. I can't even talk about what was there. He goes, that was the craziest party. And then he said he met Bill Murray there. He's like, that was the night I met Bill Murray.
Dang.
And I was like, this is fucking weird.
That's in their
Anyways, it was
prime
cool.
too.
Yeah, we talked for a few minutes. I asked him, I go, did you meet Eddie Murphy then too? And he goes, no, I never met Eddie. I would see him, but I would never, he never talked to me, and I never got introduced to him. And then I met him later on in the 80s. I met Eddie when he did like Beverly Hills Cop, and he was like, you know, famous in the early 80s because Arnold was blowing up too, right? So
Yeah.
he said he, you know, got to know Eddie later. But yeah, it was just funny. And then he gave a little speech to everybody. He said, you know, it costs like this much money to put the show on, and you guys account for this much with your sponsorship, and we thank you very much, and that's why I'm here, and that's why we're doing this, because you're so important to the Arnold Classic. And then he told a little story. He told a little story about him starting to promote in 1976 with Jim Lorimer.
Yeah.
And how Joe Weider gave him a bunch of advice. So he's telling a story about a conversation with Joe Weider, and every time he does Joe's part, he does an impression. Well, Arnold.
Yeah,
you know? And he does, and so he's doing a Joe Weider impression with himself back and forth for like 2 minutes.
Oh my God, that's classic.
And I'm looking around, I'm like, is anybody fucking filming this?
Yeah.
Another F-bomb. I'm like, is anybody filming this?
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing. Like, he's doing a Joe Weider impression, and it's really good.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
he's an actor.
Yeah. Him and Samir,
You know?
him and Samir Bannout have the best Joe impressions.
So it was just like, it wasn't like I got 3 pictures with Arnold, and, you know, I shook his hand and stuff 3 times, but that was like awesome.
Yeah.
And I said to Jim after, I was like, man, that was awesome. And Jim was like, man, they were really cool to us. Like, it was awesome. And then the federal agent gave me like a little memorial, like, protection coin sort of thing.
Okay.
So I went up and talked to the, you know, after our turn was kind of done and Arnold was talking to like Brian Powers and those guys, I didn't really want to bug him anymore. So I went over. Of course, I'm like, well, who else can I go talk to?
Yeah, because what else are you gonna do?
I'm not.
Right? Just
I'm
hang
not.
out,
Well, my plan was, I'm not leaving this room until they kick me out.
Yeah.
Because every single person in this room is right. So I go over to one of the protection guys, and I'm like, hey man, guys, I mind if I ask you a few questions? He goes, no problem. And it turns out he's the head guy.
Huh.
And he's a Homeland Security agent, and he's, you know, taken this, he's on this assignment now. This job is his now, and he runs his team, and he was cool. And I talked to him for a little bit. Yeah. So anyways, that's my story, but it was awesome.
That's cool, man. We got to ask too. I mean, I'm going to guess that was yours, Ron, but Chris had said, hey guys, managed to catch this one live, a little late. He says, Scott, Dusty, and Ron, what was your favorite part of the Expo?
My favorite part of the Expo was that we were right by the stage.
Oh yeah.
And we were kind of up on a little bit of a riser. So I watched the classic physique prejudging and the wellness prejudging and like a bunch of the prejudging right from the Mutant booth.
Yeah.
And it was like
a
really
great
cool.
view.
And it was, you know, great view, and it was packed, and it was like really high energy, you know, crowd was going nuts.
It was a great
and some
spot.
of the strongman. Yeah. A bunch of the strongman stuff. So I got to see a lot of stuff.
Yeah. How about you, Dusty?
You know, I always like the funny things I'm not ready for.
Yeah.
So I really thought that the lady coming to present us with asshole deodorant at the end was quite a hit. I mean, having a woman throw her leg on top of a counter to show us how she would apply it, and then have Ron look at her and ask her straight to her face if it's lubricating and if it can be ingested was interesting.
Yeah, if it was flavored. Is that what you said? Is it flavored?
I said, I said, how does it taste?
Yeah.
But the best part was she didn't break stride. Like, this girl has been in the game. I mean, she goes, oh, and then she's saying, she looks right at Ron and goes, and hey, if you have an extra hairy ass, just give it a few more swipes, you'll be good to go. To which Ron responded,
no,
Ron,
I'm good. The driveway's paved.
So the best part, Scott, which I didn't tell you, is like that girl was a hit, and it was the end of the day. Like, we were getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
And I was like, she was awesome. So I get on my airplane to go home.
Yeah.
And she was in the seat in front of me.
Lydia was on the plane with you, huh?
Right in front of me. And what is she doing?
Yeah.
Hustling it to the gay flight attendant.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
And then he was phenomenal because he gave it back to her.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's something in it. So at one point she goes, She goes, "Are you allergic to nuts or anything?" And he looks at her and goes, "Obviously not."
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy is like, he stole the show. He was
Yeah.
like, she was good, but he was better. So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
She was
that
fun.
was,
She,
awesome.
I felt like I was dancing with her.
Yeah.
You know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. We were like going back and forth, and everyone was laughing. It was good. She was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I would say
Taboo.
my highlight was getting, as always, getting to meet our viewers, listeners. That was so cool. In fact, one guy in particular, Brian, came up to me, and he started crying, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "I wanted to come straight up and get to shake your hand and meet you." He got into AA like a year ago now, and he's really trying to make big changes in his life and stuff. And he listens to all the shows. So shout out to him. And man, it was just so cool to talk to everybody, you know, who enjoy the podcasts. And, you know, some of the people it's like I got to talk to for a while because like you're not doing anything else. So start talking to a guy about a shoulder issue he's having. And it's a shoulder issue. I know what the problem is. So like I could just help him right there. You know what I mean? Almost like a live podcast, help educate people and give them some things to do. Then I sent him a video later that I had already made. To help him. And now like in a month, I told him, reach back out, let me know how that shoulder's doing. Cause I know that it's going to fix that. So just stuff like that, you know, was really cool to me to think that we can go to another city in another state and that people will walk in and know who we are, you know, to know who I am. Like you guys are pro bodybuilders. So that's a whole other thing. But for me, especially, that's kind of cool, you know, and to get to hang out with you guys that whole time. Like I had a blast, like just going out to lunch and dinner, getting breakfast together, walking around, doing everything we're doing. It was really cool. And everybody on the Mutant crew, and I'm not just saying that because they invited me out, like everybody is really cool people. Like they're easy to get along with kind of people, and they're a lot of fun. So, man, I had a blast with that just overall. But definitely the people, meeting the people. That'd be my thing. Oh, we got a super chat too.
Yeah. You got a what?
We got a super chat too.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. She's part of the
That's
Patreon as
awesome.
well.
I see
That
it.
next one's great.
What does
Pull
he
that one
say?
up, Scott.
What does he say? That's why I love this show. Butthole.
From Butthole.
It's so good.
Yeah. I needed a bit of butthole talk at the booth. It's
Yeah.
hard to get a lot of it these days, you know?
Yeah,
Weird.
What about, okay, so we have a
proper.
question that has nothing to do with bodybuilding whatsoever. So that's right up your guys' alley. From Kevin21. He says, thoughts on the Mammoth Day extinction to see
De-extinction.
what is de-extinction, like because they're bringing them back. I understand what he means here.
Yeah. They think
To
they
see a
can
herd
clone-
of mammoths in our lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, they think they can bring it back because they have what they think is preserved enough DNA to clone. Isn't that the thing? Isn't
Yeah.
that what they have?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we okay, so hey, I like, you know, when you introduce a new animal, right? What happens?
You're
to
altering
the
everything.
ecosystem? No, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
there's I don't know much about mammoths. Maybe they'd actually be good. Maybe there's an argument that they would be good for the ecosystem in some way. I don't know. Maybe there's some argument. Are they actually talking about releasing them into the or are they just talking about trying to make one?
Yeah, but if they do, is it going to be like those movies I've seen where they do it and then they get out because
Jurassic
the rich
Park.
guys want to own one? And
Oh,
then
yeah.
they're doing an auction.
You know,
I
the
mean, I've
cartel
seen this
members.
movie before.
Yeah.
You know?
They do
Cartel
one and they
members will have
realize
them.
they realize
Maybe
they're
the Clintons
wildly
need
off.
one to do their dirty work. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be funny if they cloned one and they realized they were wildly off in their predictions? Like it turns out they're incredibly intelligent and eat people.
We were wrong.
They didn't
Oh,
know
we
they
thought
ate
they were
people
just big
before because we
buffalo.
weren't here.
Yeah.
I thought they were just big dumb cows with horns. But it turns out they're actually really smart.
Yeah. And they use
Yeah,
those
yeah.
they use those
See?
long trunks to like slay people, you know?
Yeah.
Suffocate
yeah,
people.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Oh,
I
no.
totally. If they do that, I'm certain that cartel members will own those things. Like rich
some
guys,
guy's gonna want.
they'll have them on chains and stuff down in Mexico. Along with
Yeah.
like exotic cats and all that. There's no question.
Donna said she wants one. She just wants to take one to the mall.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
I like this
It's a
one
thing.
comment. He says they need to bring back saber-toothed tigers to keep things in check.
Tigers.
See, I like this. I back that. I back that for sure.
Ooh, here's a kind of a serious one from our friend Lucas. He says, "Hey guys, have you ever experienced?" He says, "blackout. 2 days ago, I basically lost my consciousness for 2 minutes. Cut my head via side door. Lost some blood. Just wanted to ask, you ever had a similar thing?" Well, when I cut my head, the
no.
first thing I do, and I black out, the first thing I do is I consult some random guys on a podcast 2 days
They're
later.
the right ones. I like that he's held it.
Lucas?
Lucas is like, I gotta wait until the guys do a live podcast to get some
I-
solid advice.
I'm very happy to hear from you, Lucas, but I'm a little concerned.
That you're still alive.
Like, I should not be your point of contact on this issue.
I should be
I'm
though, for
deferring.
sure.
I am deferring.
Yeah.
I
Deferring
got this. I got this.
responsibility.
It's fine.
Dusty, what should he
Only
do?
on the third one that you need to start to worry about it.
Yeah.
Say you were
It's more than once a
driving and
week.
that happened. I mean,
Yeah.
my advice would be hospital ASAP. Figure out what the hell just happened, because you didn't like. It doesn't sound like you were like training and you blacked out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Sounds like you just blacked out randomly.
I'm not a big doctor guy, but I think I would have went on that one. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We got time for
I
a
hope
couple
you're
more.
okay, Lucas.
If anybody wants to post
Yeah.
anything, we got time for a couple more. We've got, let's see, an over and under here from Mitch. He says, not sure if it even exists anymore, but overrated, underrated, the animal cage.
I'm saying it was underrated. I love the animal cage.
Yeah.
And also, once I learned about expos, once I started working for Mutant, like when I was going to expos with Rich and stuff, it was all cool. I learned a lot. But once I started working for Mutant, I started learning like how much every little thing costs.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that you pay for your booth by weight, because union guys have to load it, unload it, and assemble everything.
I did not know that.
So if you want to bring 200-pound dumbbells into your booth,
Yeah.
the union guys have to do it. You can't, it's from dock to booth. You cannot move anything. It's all part of the contract. You're not allowed to do nothing until it's all at your booth. So all that weight costs a lot of money. And that
Holy
animal
crap.
booth used to cost them a lot of money to set that up. And it was a huge pain in the ass, a huge amount of work. And also too, I saw a bunch, like, cause I'd walk by the animal booth back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And the cage. And I saw a bunch of awesome stuff happen there. Like people just popping like massive personal bests and the crowd just going
Oh,
crazy.
yeah. Yeah.
And I'll never forget that video of Steffi Cohen squatting 500 pounds.
Yeah.
I just missed that. I was there that day and I didn't realize she was going to do that.
No
And I would
kidding.
have gone back to watch it. But that video of her doing that 500-pound squat is like one of my favorite booth videos from the cage ever.
You're kidding
But,
me.
yeah,
Yeah. I have a
yeah.
moment like that too, seeing Stan Efforting incline press the 200-pound dumbbells for like a dozen reps. And he said, not only that, he was like, but if you're going to incline press the 200-pound dumbbells, you also have to be able to pick them up yourself. So he picked them up off
Right.
the floor, sat them down, kicked them up, did them, and then dropped them. I was like, dang, you know. I hope they
Yeah.
bring it back. I really do. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy. It used to mess things up. Like, you know, not a lot of people can really see what's going on because if you're not against the cage, you're kind
Yeah.
of screwed.
Yeah.
So, you know, it wasn't the best in that regard, but of course they're shooting, you know, they're shooting all the video and it all goes up, but it was all awesome.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And for,
Yeah.
you know what, too, I'll tell you this, from my perspective, I remember going there like before I knew any pro bodybuilders. And that was like my first opportunity to see a guy like Stan doing crazy weight. Like actually, you know, it's awesome to like walk up to Jay Cutler and have him put, I remember when Jay put his arm around me to take a picture, it was so, his pit was so sweaty. And he was like, yeah, sure. Come on, buddy. He was huge. Like Jay at his biggest. He's like, yeah, sure. Come over here, buddy. And he was wearing one of those like muscle tech sleeveless kind of like a polyester kind of shirt, you know, kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just boom around and I was like, whoa, just yeah. But you know, to meet Jay was one thing, but then to see guys like lifting crazy weights, you know, as some random guy from, you know, the suburbs was amazing to me. I'd say
Yeah.
underrated.
Well,
Underrated.
You gotta remember, I was going to the Olympia since '02. So right from the beginning, I would stop by the animal booth and get a T-shirt because the old animal T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
Like I had the shut the up and train one, and it had
Yeah.
it was uncensored. It had the word written, right?
Yeah.
So
word is
I
that?
had that one.
What word?
Yeah,
What word?
F-bomb.
Yeah, yeah. Scott, Ron, I have to bounce, but you guys can finish strong. Attorney meeting time.
All right. Good luck.
Dusty,
All right.
go take care of business, buddy.
We'll do. See you
Okay?
guys.
See ya.
Give me a ring the bell.
Oh.
I missed it. Okay, you
So
can do it.
You want to wrap up with a couple more of these Q&A or these over and unders
I
we had?
got a few minutes. We don't have to abruptly end anything. We can
All
do
right.
a couple, like one or two more.
And I will tell you guys, if you are looking for something to do in a couple hours, I'm doing another live podcast again over at
Yes.
Facebook at 5:00 with Andrew and Skip. But let's see, George White. George White. First of all, he gave us a super chat. George, I have to tell you, by the way. So George bought us cutting boards for our wedding, which I wanted to say thank you to George for that. And also, I wanted him to know that whenever Victoria uses the cutting boards, she thinks of George. She literally just told me that the other day. So I thought that was very
Cool.
sweet. Yes.
That's cool.
So he had a good,
Okay.
very good over and underrated here. Big boobs.
Big boobs.
Are they overrated or under? Could they be overrated?
Well, I mean, do you have size? Like, how big is too big? Do you have size preferences? Like, what does big mean? You know?
We saw that
I-
lady at the Olympia and the Arnold.
Yeah.
Were those
Yeah,
too big?
That was pretty crazy. Well, yeah, I think that's like very limiting. Those were so giant that those were like those kind of circus sized boobs.
They were like, is
Right.
this legit right here? Like if I put my hands like that, is that one of them? About like or
At least.
bigger. About right there.
They were like a gallon, or they were like
a gallon would be
each.
like that.
Yeah, they were bigger than a gallon.
Yeah, gallon and a halfer each. Something
Yeah,
like
they
that.
were a gallon and a halfer. They were both gallon and a halfers.
Yeah.
So she had 2 tits for 3 gallons, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. How much silicone?
Yeah.
You know, they
Well,
usually go by
so-
cc's. Hers goes by gallons.
Yeah. Gallons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's too big. So I always used to have a saying, because I'm kind of an ass guy. So I always had a saying like, tits are great, but they're kind of like air conditioning. You can get them put in later.
That's true. That's true.
Like everybody wants air conditioning, but it's not like the biggest deal. You can still buy a condo that doesn't have it because you can just get it put in.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. I like that. You're a wise man.
That's kind of where that's kind of where I lie.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We think we had we were asked about the bathrooms. A big beautiful bosom can never be overrated. Overrated, underrated. Letting her finish first. We're getting into some Fuad territory here now. This is some bro chat territory.
Leave it to Brent Dunn.
Yeah.
I know that guy. I see. I always thought that you got to make sure she finishes first.
I thought that was the rule. You know, that was
I thought that was like part of my job. You got to at least get one off.
yeah,
Sometimes you go for go for more if you're feeling, if you're not
like a
hurt,
hero, you know. Yeah, if you're feeling like a hero.
She's been really good to you.
Yeah. Or if
Right,
you just
yeah.
have a point to prove, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, lots and lots of that's how I let out my resentment. Yeah, you can have, no.
Or
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
want to
that's
make
how
a
we manage.
statement, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
we just constantly just trying to get back at each other through sexual conquest. Yeah, very healthy, Scott.
keeps the relationship strong, you know?
Yeah.
All right. This is going downhill fast, hey?
That's the way they want it. That's what the people want, Scott.
Did you ever have issues with your shoulder during sleep? I'm a side sleeper, and my shoulders kind of get, they're getting too big. How do you fix it? Lay on your back.
I've always been a side sleeper. I don't sleep on my back at all very well, so I don't really know that you ever fix it. You know, I'm not someone who ever got away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's anything
pillows,
you do.
manage the pillows. You got to try
good.
Yeah. So I have pillows. Like I put a pillow under this arm so it's not like laying on me. You know, sometimes it goes numb. So I'll put a pillow underneath it, and I'll like put my arm under here, and I manage the pillow, and I've got all this stuff going on.
What about when your legs
pillow Tetris?
Yeah, when your legs are at their biggest. Do you have ever had that issue? You need the pillow between your knees because the adductor versus knee ratio is off.
Yeah, I used to sleep with a pillow between my knees all the time. Obviously, it would kind of just help for falling asleep because then it would kind of get moved.
Yeah.
But at least you could be like comfortable. You know, you wake up and it's like not there anymore. It's like moved over.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, we got an accurately rated. I think that was for the boobs. So could we say that boobs are accurately rated? Because I mean, they're rated pretty high. They're not a bad thing. You know
I can't say boobs are overrated.
Right.
But then so you know I can't. But then you know I don't want to say they're underrated because they could be like way out of control.
Yeah. Oh, over under Costco samples.
I don't think I've ever taken a Costco sample.
Oh, you're missing out.
No attention.
You're missing out.
No attention at all.
Yeah, you're missing out on a lot.
I just
in life,
breeze past all that stuff. Really?
Yeah. It was funny. I was in line to get a sample of pizza. This is literally like a couple of weeks ago, and there was this Middle Eastern girl, and she was texting her friend who was somewhere in the store, and she said, and she was voice texting. She said, "I'm so glad you brought me here. Costco samples are amazing. America is the greatest." And I looked at her and I smiled, and she started laughing and I started laughing.
Did you show her your concealed carry?
Yeah, we didn't go that far. Pull
your shirt up. America is the greatest.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you, sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's about all we got here. I think that's about all we have. Oh, we did have this one. I don't know what we gonna say something.
I was just saying, like, you know, there'd be people out there that'd be like, "No, she didn't say that. Like, there's no way."
She really did. Swear to God, it happened.
There's no way she said that. He's making that up. No one would ever say that.
What is this? What is that?
I don't know.
Can we look that up?
No.
I'm
gonna have to Google.
Yeah. What is this here?
Okay, we're gonna Google.
All right, this is gonna happen now.
This will be our last act.
All right.
This is our final. This is be my final act.
Yeah. Then what are you doing for the rest of the day here, Ron?
I'm going to meet the boys, my business partners, for a meeting about the gym. We have a meeting every week. And,
nice.
I'm going to go have our little meeting. And, you know, I'm back on schedule with Braden today for training because I was all messed up from the trip, you know. So should be kind of back to normal.
He posted a story the other day of an old episode of you saying that you had been training with this new guy, and that, you know, he shows a lot of promise, and you know, and he said, you know, how much we've changed since then. And I messaged him. I was like, oh yeah, man, that's a cool throwback. And he made the statement. He said, yeah, Ron transferred me some of his muscle since then. We've changed so much. Is that how that works? Is that what you did? You transferred some of him to him, what you had when you sat us down.
It's sort of like how an old Jedi can like give his life force to the young Jedi and then die, and just a pile of clothing falls to the floor.
Yeah.
And then the new Jedi has more power.
Okay.
But it's just a slower process. It takes like a lot of sets of pendulum squats and a lot of sets of, you know, incline dumbbell to transfer all the force over.
Okay, so
that's my metaphor.
It's a food. And here's a picture of it. If you can see that. They look pretty good. It's like it's a corn. It says, what do we have here? Delicious cornmeal pockets filled with your favorite Well, this says vegan dishes such as jackfruit, scrambled tofu, black bean,
Whoa.
guacamole. But I bet you that this is just like a specific. This is from a website called Healthier Steps. So I bet the real ones are like filled with pork or something like that.
Well, we could talk more if we got some meat in them.
Yeah. I don't know what they are exactly, but they look good. I'd eat
How
one
about-
if it had meat.
I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to give an unable to rate. Unable to rate.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Unable to rate.
There you go.
Need more info.
Unable to rate.
We need to try them, you know.
I don't want to do a disservice to them. Right?
Yeah. That's a good point. I guess that's all we got then, Ron. We're done.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, everybody. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and nothing.
We don't have
Gotta
it.
help
He's
me out,
not here.
Scott.
Oh, I'm supposed to do it. I just sit here. I sit here and smile at the end, and I go, I thought that was what I was supposed to do. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. You got to ring the bell
See?
because if you don't,
See?
then you guys
But no,
won't
this
know
is
about
good.
the next show, you know?
This is good proof that it just doesn't work without Dusty.
Yeah, that's true.
It's good proof. We just can't do it. We can't get it done without him, Scott.
Yeah.
Remember, Patreon helps Scott out running the Think Big network. Really, really helps. And is a nice gesture after all the hours he puts in. Of course, IamMutant.com, Dusty20, but he's not here right now, so don't use that code.
No.
Just use Big Ron 20.
Screw him.
And we're good to go. And
That's
thanks
it.
to everyone who came up to us at the Arnold. That was like, you know, the best part is meeting you guys. So thanks for all the chats. And I got to thank the guys from Raising the Bar Gym in Lincoln.
Oh, yeah. Lincoln Park.
But shirt. Yes, Lincoln Park. So thanks very much. And I'll talk to you guys soon. We out.
We're out of here. See you
We're out.
guys.
Remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.